Assassin's Creed 2, a game that has withstood the test of time for more than a decade since its release, a franchise that almost did not exist in the first place. Having been in development as a spin-off for the Prince of Persia games, it grew a life of its own as the game designer Patrice Desilets pioneered the story into the success it is now. So why was Assassin's Creed 2 so fondly remembered by people around the world?
Insieme per la vittoria!
Why was following Ezio Auditori's journey through the game so captivating to our imagination? The boy who lost everything, when nothing was true and everything was permitted.
Grab the boy! He's one of them! I'll kill you for what you've done!
In this video we will explore the very ideas as to why this game was often remembered as the best out of the franchise, and how it built the success for future games to come.
It is a good life we lead, brother.
The best need never change.
And may it never change us.
In order to fully rekindle my memory of this iconic game, I had to replay it from the beginning. Experiencing the game on PC was a marvel in and of itself. I remember playing this game on a PS3. In 4K resolution opened the beauty this game had. It only enhanced my experience of how vast the open world aspect was, that this was a living, breathing replica of Italy in the Renaissance era. The science fiction engraved into the franchise was what gave the game its unique perspective. The Apple of Eden, the truth, the animus. One of the most captivating aspects of this game was Ezio's journey, from his tragic downfall to the death of his family, and his eventual rise to power and justice through the Order. It is without a doubt that the most iconic moment comes from the beginning of the game, where Ezio Auditore races Federico to the rooftops of a church. This cements the very essence of our expectations, that we will experience a story that is going to span decades in the timeline. How the story is told is important, for we are in control of Ezio. We see him through his rash younger years, a charming kid who was fiercely competitive, to the eventual reveal of a deeper plot within the story. The conspiracies against his father take hold and eventually lead to his father's and both his brothers' deaths. This leaves the player in wonder. What is next? Yet we have a chance at redemption. At first we seek revenge, but eventually we hand out justice through our hands. It is by this force alone that drives us forward. We want to find out the truth, find the people responsible and make them pay. We find purpose through the creed, that power is handed to the player. Everything we do has a meaning. Not only do we meet people in the game that exist in real life, what we experience through the world is believable. It grounds us to this world, the characters, whether it's a thief, a visionary engineer or a family. These people live within this world, they survive in it, we interact with them in a way that feels tangible. We know how the rich live decadent lives because we see it happen in real life, how the rich and powerful take advantage of the poor and powerless. Every character leads us to a new revelation, how a list of conspirators grows, how deep does the truth stay buried behind all these lies. This is what we as the players want to find out as we make our way through the game. Yet there is always an extra layer to this game. We are reliving memories of a past assassin through Desmond. We are trying to figure out the truth. Where all the pieces of Eden lie, those that give leaders their power over its people. Will we ever find all the pieces of Eden? Who currently holds the current ones? How will we use these pieces once we have them? These questions alone push us ever forward in the story. The game cleverly intertwines two timelines, one in the past and one in the present, which is something that gave the franchise its edge, and 2 set the standard for how the Animus could be used to tell a captivating story of just one assassin on a journey to figure out the truth of the world. This very concept carried 1 through many games in the future. This very idea had the potential to spawn endless timelines of assassins across the ages, all with their own stories to tell. Creating a vast open world game such as this was no easy feat, and the developers knew this. They had to take inspiration from real life, of real cities and real people. The architectural genius of this game staggered many players by its beauty. Almost every place was explorable, every ledge climbable. It lived and breathed atmosphere. Walking down the bustling streets allowed us to feel like we belonged in this world, that we were in fact in Italy at the peak of the Renaissance era. The cities were filled with NPCs that would all have their own stories to tell. Some would line up for food markets, others would sell tailoring or art supplies. No doubt the development of this game was driven by passionate people. In fact, the game wouldn't even exist for what it is today if it wasn't for the team behind it. The gameplay allowed the players to choose their weapon types, from swords, axes, maces, daggers, poisons, and of course the iconic hidden blades. These were the tools of the assassin: smoke, deceit, aversion, and distraction. They all made the missions believable, that we were in fact an assassin. This game set the standard for open world game design. Its gameplay architecture would later be developed and integrated into many future generations to come. There was an amazing amount of activities to do within the game. It wasn't all required, but it was satisfying to find all those treasure chests scattered across the cities, to seek out the feathers of your long lost brother, to seek closure not only for yourself but for your mother. And it wasn't without reward. For collecting all 100 of these feathers would net you the Auditory Cape. Seeking the ever-elusive treasure chest allowed you to invest in renovating the Villa Auditoria, to finish the work your grandfather began. The money alone would pave way for the vast amount of weapons and armor at your disposal from the local blacksmiths. There was always a sense of progression within the game. And this wasn't everything that you could do either. One of the most remembered moments of the game is acquiring the armor of Altair, taunting you from the very beginning of the game, hidden behind 6 locks. Exploring the assassin tombs felt like you were reliving an Indiana Jones movie, from the tricky platforming to the dangerous traps, to the eventual riches awaiting at the end. But most of all, it paved the way for the past assassins of the age. It allowed us to peer into the past and see how the great leaders of our world were killed, whether by poison or even by snake. It is without a doubt that this game has some of the most iconic music to date. I truly believe that this game wouldn't be as impactful if it wasn't for the soundtrack, masterfully composed by the visionary genius Jesper Kyd. One of the most iconic motifs was made by this composer. Not only did we feel for the characters in this game, we felt the loss that Ezio went through. It allowed us to peer into the eyes of our protagonist, to know his rise to action through the musical ensemble. That is a merit in and of itself. We often talk about nostalgia and how it can play at our heartstrings, how it can make us remember the good times, what we lived through the younger years. Hearing the music from this game absolutely captivated us, and we often can imagine the memories we had of playing this game just through the music alone. That is the musical genius of the Assassin's Creed. In conclusion, Assassin's Creed 2 paved the way for the whole franchise, from the spiraling, multifaceted stories to the open world gameplay, to the complex characters of the previous eras. Ubisoft wouldn't be where it is today without the pioneers of the Assassin's Creed franchise. It inspired many games for generations to come, and perhaps some wouldn't even exist to this day without it. Thank you so much for watching my retrospective on one of my favorite games in the Assassin's Creed franchise. It was a real pleasure working on the script of this video, and I had an absolute blast replaying the game. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe and hit the notification bell icon for more videos like this in the future. As always, these videos wouldn't be possible without the lovely support of my Patreons. Recording these videos takes a very long time, and I wish to do more of them in the future. So if you'd like to support my content and see me analyze more games, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll see you in the next video.